Morning. Happy New Year. Wanted to do a year-end, 1 year kind of update on where we are with our forestry business and journey with sawmill, so on and so forth, or this sawmill. Go over a few things. I am going to do a video on a video review on the 1 year in on the sawmill itself, on the Norwood HD 36V2, and things that we've run into, but I'm going to keep that separate. I'm going to do that in a few days. Anyway, happy holidays, happy New Year. The household got COVID over Christmas. Family came into town. We had the annual gingerbread making contest, which we finished second this year in a very close vote. We won a couple years in a row. And as a big happy thank you, our whole house got COVID out of it. I don't know, we don't know who came in with it or what. We just know that we ended up COVID positive. Now I'm 5 days in, I think, since my positive test, or might be my 6th day. So I'm kind of over it. Didn't get very sick. I had a cold earlier, a couple of months ago, that was far worse. I'm not trying to diminish the impact of COVID or anything. I'm just telling you the truth. What I ended up with. I ended up with kind of like a head cold. Never really coughed a whole lot. Never really got a sore throat. Just a real stuffy nose and head congestion for solid 4 days anyway, maybe 3 days where it was really bad, and I've been getting better the last 2. So I follow guidelines, and quarantine for 5 days because I was positive. I'm going to keep saying so I'm going to try to stop. But my wife works in a chiropractor's office part-time. Her plan was to work with me on the mill, but it became too taxing on her body, so she's pulling some part-time in a chiropractor's office, a friend of ours. So I had to, normally I wouldn't have tested. For me, I don't like really being around people a whole lot anyway, so normally I would have just stayed out of the way of people for a while and gotten over it, but I had to test because I couldn't allow her not to know, having to go into the doctor's office. And also my son works at a local supermarket, kind of a upper end supermarket in the deli, so I had to let him know too, because you can't have him in there being all COVID on people's meat and cheese and stuff like that. So I'm getting over it. My wife seems to be a day behind me. My son seems to be about 2 days behind me, so he's kind of like mid-vid. But anyway, we're gonna get over it, and Happy New Year. And so let's go over the forestry business a little bit. What I find to be working, what I find not to be working. This is going to be a little bit fragmented. I think I'll start with the products because we can move around a little bit, and I'll start with logs and products and the challenges with that in space, I think, and then maybe just talk a little bit about the mill. I think the mill's kind of secondary because you don't need this mill to cut and sell firewood. Cut and sell lumber. There's so many different options that I think the mill's kind of a secondary subject, but it is important because I'll let you know what I think works and what doesn't. So let's talk a little bit about space and products and how we've been marketing. We've only been marketing our products for a short time. In the beginning, what we decided to do was work on our logistics and our log yard so that we could streamline the process a little bit, make it a little bit more functional for us, so that if somebody came in, we'd have the ability to be able to process through orders and things like that in a timely fashion. And marketing wise, we decided to just go with word of mouth. We figured word of mouth would spread pretty fast because we have a woodworking business, and we do some tree work, but we're mostly, I do saw work for all the tree guys and the landscapers around here. So I knew that word was going to kind of spread, which it did. And we opened up with a bunch of jobs early through word of mouth, where people found out about the mill. And in the beginning, it was mostly cutting. We cut trailer decking and truck decking for 3 or 4 different customers that got to us through word of mouth. That's how it started. And then word of mouth started to spread to some woodworkers in the area. We kind of live in a little bit of an upper end area on Cape Cod. We're very close to Falmouth. We're in Falmouth, very close to Woods Hole. I have boat builders around me, and my wife's family were boat builders. I have a lot of friends who are up, higher end woodworkers and builders, finish contractors, so on and so forth. So I knew some word of mouth was going to get around, and that was going to be good in the beginning. And then, as I felt more comfortable, and as I'm trying to make an effort to pull out of the field building, I needed to start advertising to start to get myself busy, because money had kind of stopped coming in from outside. My outside jobs were all wrapping up, and I needed to start moving this business forward to try to supplement my income a little bit, because things were slowing down out in the field, and I was trying to pull out of the field. And what I started to do, like with my slab business, with my chainsaw business, I did that for about 3 years, where I cut slabs and sold slabs and milled out in the field for people mobily. And I advertised everything on Facebook Marketplace. So the way that I do that on Facebook Marketplace is that I'll do a post on Marketplace, and then I share it to all of the local yard sale sites. So if you look on your Marketplace and on Facebook, around me, every town around me, every county around me, every area around me has a yard sale site. So there's a Cape Cod yard sale, Wareham yard sale. Wareham's close to me, New Bedford, Fall River, Southern Massachusetts yard sale, blah, 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 blah. So what I do is I cross-share my posts to all the yard sale sites. And when I was cutting slabs, it was pretty simple. I'd take a picture of the slabs, throw some water on the slabs, take different pictures, and then post them. And pretty much, if it was a good-looking log, I'd sell it out that day or in 2 days, the whole log. And slab business back then, we were getting more for slabs than is going on now. But anyway, I started taking pictures of lumber, say like a generic product that I was cutting, or lumber that I had lying around. If I was cutting a job and all the boards were laying up on here, I'd take some good pictures and sawdust and really what was lying around out here, and make a post. Even down to, I started posting, you can see these are still sitting here, these little offcuts are still sitting here because I use those for a post about craft wood at $5 a board. Come out, pick out a piece of craft wood, and pieces like when I'd cut those elm, I'd post pictures of the elm, and for those little offcut pieces, I'd just say, they're $30 a piece or $20 a piece, and I even did posts on slab wood. I don't have any sitting around right here. So you see my slab wood sitting over there from the elm job. I even posted pictures of slab wood. So I cut the slab wood up for my camp wood bin out front, which is going great. That'll be a separate subject as we walk around. But I'd post pictures of slab wood and say, oh, you know, great slab wood benches, you know, come get them for 20 bucks a piece. Maple slabs that I have sitting over there dried, or beams that I have sitting around. So I started cross-posting them all, and the interest kind of came fast and furious. I started to get constant messages throughout the day from people saying, I'm interested. When can I come out? What do you have? What are your prices? What kind of wood do you have? So on and so forth. So that kind of started to take off, led to several more cutting jobs, some decent higher end cutting jobs on hardwood. I had one woodworker came and bought out all my cherry, a bunch of black locust, a bunch of pitch pine. I just had cut that elm order. I've cut most of the, I cut all the form boards and lower floor structure and beams for an addition for a home. And all that came in through that. In and out, pack and order. I just cut a floor for a nursery. That, you know, bam, in, package it up, and out it goes. All cut into order. I'm not cutting a whole lot of stock. But then one thing that I found out was that the slab business is still alive and well. The natural edge slab business. Lots and lots. I wanted to cut construction lumber, dimensional lumber. I kind of wanted that to be my niche. And what I'm finding is that's not my niche here. My niche here, people want slabs. They want natural edge slabs. So that's going to shift me over. We'll take a little walk around really quick, because we need to get into logs and log delivery and so on and so forth, and where you're going to put them. So this is one log pile, and this log pile has got a bunch of higher end hardwoods in it. I've got a big pack of walnut in here that I went and pulled out of a job that a tree guy called me and said, hey, I'm cutting walnut, do you want it? It's all walnut down in here. That's all going to come out this week. I also got a customer who makes barn doors who wants clear pine, and that log's actually a nice clear pine right there that I'm going to cut up for him. He said he'd start with 300 board feet, and he wants me to, anytime that I cut some and find some clear pine in his dimensions, which he likes like 2x6, 2x4, 2x8, clear, no knots, for him to work with and break down. He wants me to store some here for him. He said basically he'll take all that I can give him. He's got a nice website doing sliding barn doors, so I'm going to start cutting that for him too. But all the trees here come in through tree services, all free. They come, they drop them off out front. As you can see, that pile that came in up there. And then in the beginning, they were all going here till this pile started getting too big. And then I started sorting. I cleared a spot out back here, and I started sorting hardwoods. So that's all white and black oak. There's actually a nice big black oak clear right there, but I had to move that pile to get to my elm. There's some elm left up there. I have short big pine logs up there, stuff that I could get out of the way, and white oak. And my slab wood's up there on the hill. I need to set up an area out here for a log deck. I put some bunks down on the ground when I was cutting the flooring for the nursery. I pulled out some pitch pine logs. There's a white oak there, old white oak there too. But I pulled out some pitch pine logs and graded them so that I would have them ready to go. The other log sitting over there is just one that I just had to get out of the way, but I need to have a nice landing right here for logs that I'm going to cut, so they'll stay off the ground and they can just go from right there to the mill. So that's kind of my next project. I'm probably going to move these out of here and set up some sort of log deck here for what I'm working on right now. Because one effort here, everything's frozen this morning. It's cold, January 2nd. It's about 20, 23, 24 degrees. But when it's not cold and you got your ground here and your ground's all kind of dirt, you know, you want to try to keep your wood out of the dirt as much as you can to get it up on the mill as clean as you can. So I need a place where I can put the stuff down without putting it down on the ground here or over here, getting mud and dirt all over it, and then throwing it up on the mill and wiping bands. Oh, there's Inman Tree Service going by in that red truck. I have one of his saws in, it's 461. There's my neighbor Tommy coming out of his driveway. He's a builder and an EMT. So I got the log pile here. That's kind of just like a get stuff out of the way log pile. It's mostly white pine, pitch pine. There's some black locust here too. And I've got a 15 log order tagged for a customer that he wants all cut 5/4. It's all spruce and pine. And I've got a large part of his inventory here. They're all tagged on the ends. You can barely see it, but his logs are all tagged. And we got to sort through that because he owes me a little bit of money, so I don't want to start cutting on it yet until we start sorting that mess out. But what we did was we started making bunks to put our lumber on. We had like a 8-foot bunk and like a 10-foot bunk and then like a 14-foot bunk that we cut out of some trash logs, topped them where we can stick our lumber. I need to streamline this process. I'm finding a lot of interest in 2-inch stock. So I want to cut a bunch of 2-inch stuff, 2x10s, 2x12s, 2x4s, 2x6s, 2x8s. What they end up doing is, as I'm cutting through some of these projects for people, they end up more as offcuts than anything else, and they end up just getting stuck up here. They can't stay here forever. I did get it so that these are all under a canopy here and not in direct sunlight. But I need to either make more bunks or come up with an area where I have a whole bunch of bunks where I can start stickering and separating dimensions and kinds of wood so that when somebody comes in and wants a whole bunch of 1x, I don't have to rip this whole pile apart to get to them. Kind of like you can see over here. These are things you kind of all have to think through that we thought we were thinking through, and the problems get big really quick. So you can see there's a whole bunch of 1x stock in that 8-foot bunk back there. The reason they're on bunks is I want to be able to move them around. There's a whole bunch of beautiful 2x stock sitting here. That's just sitting here. It's not stickered properly right now. It needs to be fixed. So I'm going to try this week to work through some of those things, since I'm kind of going to be trying to stay away from the outside world. But you know, this whole pile here is all a mishmash of, it's got pine, I see white cedar in there, there's some white oak in there, things like that. And that one's kind of okay because it's all 1x stock, short 1x stock. If somebody wanted to go through it, there's some kind of crafty wood in there. I saw the craft wood piece out of there. This one here is being way underutilized. This could be a whole bunk of just 2x6s or 2x4s, and I need to have that. Also out front, if you see, I got my camp wood bin out there, and that's taken off. I sell it for $10 an arm load, and I don't bundle. All I do is I split all my, well, I'll show you out there. I'm almost sold out. Let's go ahead and walk out there really quick. I take all my slab wood and my offcuts and I cut them down and split them into small pieces for camp wood. Easy starting, easy burning for people. And to be honest with you, I burn a lot of it in the house too, just to get the fire going in the morning, but I have a rack in there also. But that's what the camp wood looks like. It's a mix of hardwood and softwood. And like I said, it's just camp wood, $10 an armload. Stick it in the little pay box here. I've just built this out of offcuts that were sitting around the mill. And that's really taken off. That's almost like an ATM machine. Gonna duck my log trailer, my equipment trailer. But we'll go back out and try to get back on track here. So what you should be taking out of this, because I know I'm a little bit fragmented. I've got a big cedar order coming to cut. These cedar logs have been pulled out for a different order that I cut for a big, huge chicken palace. It was all out of cedar. The videos are up when I cut that too. But I got another cedar order coming in. I'm waiting for a cut list right now. So I kind of had to pull all my cedar logs that were lying around and just stuff them somewhere out of the way so I knew what I had. There's some cedar in this pile too. I hope what you're taking away from this is these areas, it looks like I have like all this room, right? Now, if you're doing this just for yourself, you still need room, but you don't need the kind of room that I need. If you're gonna do this for a business, you know, we call ourselves, our business name is Solutions Forestry. If you're gonna do this for a business, you need to think these things through, because these areas get small fast. They really, really do. We, our plans going forward, is that where I am right now? What's working, what's not working? So let's do that. What's working, what's not working? Stickers I stay up on, important. Stickers are working. We cut a few logs in the beginning, a few really, really big pine logs, and separated all our stickers. You can see that they get scavenged quickly. But I also cut all my jacket cuts in 1 inch. And then when I edge them all down, I keep most of my edgings that I can use for stickers, and they kind of get stuck over here and used little by little by little. Stickers, got to stay on top of them. That seems to be working. My my stock storage right now is not working. It looks kind of organized, but it's not. You know, I've got beams in here. I had a customer come out for 6x6s. I have a whole bunch of 6x6s in here that are all buried. Whenever a customer comes out, I find myself unpiling stuff and then having to put it back together. I've got some kind of slab wood here that and jacket cuts that haven't been edged yet, because edging that one down will yield nothing, so I might as well keep it like that, and somebody will come in and go, oh my God, it's beautiful, and take it and give them a good deal, like, you know, give them a good deal on this, like $15, and they take it in a piece of pine like that. That one back there probably can be edged down. I think I just sold the 2x that are underneath that. Waiting to hear from him, but I had COVID, so I told him he had to wait till the middle of the week. So what's working, what's not working? My utilization of the space is not working. I got backed up with logs a little bit, so I have way too many, not way too many, because it always seems like when I get a custom order, I'm having to think about how to cut it because I'm tight. So like with my elm order and with cedar orders, whenever somebody wants cedar, I'm tight. You know, so I've always got to think through how I cut it, because I don't have like overstocks, but in the same respect, I have tons sitting around here. You know, I've got cedar logs in this pile that have to get pulled out. This whole back half of this pile is all going to come out, and this area is going to get flattened for more space here. You see a nice red cedar log right there. It's just sitting in there next to a walnut. That's all going to come out. What's going to happen here is I've got a saw shop that's going to go in right here. I've got to get working on the blueprints for that so that I can start cutting the stock for that. That mill is probably going to get turned 90 degrees like this. I am going to put a kiln and an attached small greenhouse on top of that hill right there. A retention wall along that hill, and there's going to be what's called a hugelkultur planter along that hill and this side of the kiln. If you see up on that hill facing towards us right now, we're looking due north, so the kiln will be facing due south. There's nothing in the way of it. I've taken all the trees out in the canopy here so that I have a clear shot to the south for the kiln and the small greenhouse. Over behind the mill over here, I'm going to put in a small sawmill shed. It's going to look kind of like that board and batten shed right there. It's going to sit somewhere right over here to be a sawmill shed that I'll keep all my sawmill stuff in. Anything for the mill that is necessary for the mill is going to go in there. The saw shop here is going to have a 16 by 10 covered deck off the side of it, so the saw shop's going to kind of sit right here facing us, gable facing us, and then off the side of it's going to be a covered 16 foot long by 10 foot wide work deck out here, so we can do projects under cover. And we got to start moving forward with that. What advice, and I know that I've given some advice so far. Well, we haven't talked about the mill yet. Regardless of what mill you got, we bought the Norwood HD 36 V2 for a specific reason, and that reason is that I can upgrade it to hydraulics. Right now, I wish I had bit the bullet and bought the hydraulics to begin with, but I'm glad that I bought this mill so I can upgrade it. Now, I could always sell this mill also and just buy another one, but the problem is that the wait times on mills has gone ballistic again. So I'm glad that I bought this mill with the ability to upgrade the hydraulics, which I will do. And I started with a 20-foot long rail, so I added a 4-foot section to the stock mill to get to 20 feet long, and that's not long enough. I need to go at least to 24, more likely to 26, something so I can cut at least 24-foot beams on the mill. Now, I have the ability to cut 24-foot beams and have cut 24-foot beams with my chainsaw mills alone. So I have 5 different big mill saws and some small mill saws. They're all custom. If you go back in my channel, you can watch some of the crazy stuff that I milled when I was doing that. Right now I have mills out to 60 inches and I have rails out to 96 that I can add to a mill. I just don't have a bar and chain to go that long. We'll get one eventually, but in the custom cutting world for people, which is kind of where my niche is, I want to be able to cut 24-foot beams. Now, that's going to be something that nobody else can get around here, and especially getting them at like $1 a board foot for pine would make them reasonable, and that would be a niche market for me. So when you do order a mill, one thing you need to think about is getting it really as long as you can. I wish I had gotten at least another 4 feet at minimum. I can cut 16.4 on this mill, 16.4 pretty comfortably You know, the log's got to be positioned perfect, and you've seen that in some of my videos. If you haven't watched them, go ahead and watch them. Some of the ones where I'm cutting longer stuff and I talk about it. But 16 to 20 is really common. A lot of the trailer decking I get 16. And you know, you want to cut everything kind of 16/6, so if the ends get checked or get messed up, then they have some ability to trim them a little bit to what they need. So, you know, when somebody orders 16-foot lumber, you're not giving them 16 foot, you're giving them 16/6. Or I'm giving them 16/6. If somebody orders 8-foot lumber, I'm giving them to them at 8'6". You know, the higher end mills, they're giving it to you. You know, I'd get lumber at, if I got 8-footers, if I got 8 foot and 3/4 of an inch, that would be great. That was hopefully enough. But I try to cut them 6 inches over. Now maybe I'll change and adapt and get smarter. I don't know, but that's where I am now. So you need that length, because I get a lot of trailers and truck decks and stuff like that that need 16-foot lumber, and it's tight on this mill. It's tight to cut 16/4. Your log has to be positioned perfectly and with that 20-foot deck. So that's something that you have to think through. You have to think through. And if you've seen some of my videos of moving all this stuff around, you know, that machine has been a godsend. We get the machine long before the mill because we knew that we needed that first. That Bobcat T650 has been great. I would highly recommend for anybody that if you have the ability, I know that the market's kind of crazy out there, but there are still good deals. But if you have the ability to get a track machine with multiple attachments to move logs around, if you want to do this for a business and you want to be able to, you know, move 30-inch logs around, let's just say 4,000 or 5,000 pound logs, you need something 70 horsepower. You know, if you think that you're gonna do it with your little farm tractor, you're really not. And that's another thing you have to think through. Would I do anything different? No. Right now, with everything I know, if I had to do it over again, I would get that machine. Even if I had to buy one. That machine is perfect for this business. Perfect. It moves logs wonderfully. You know, you can see the size of some of the oaks up here. Hopefully, scale-wise, you can see them. But, you know, it's moving around with no problem. I do not have a log here I can't move with this Bobcat that I can't pick up and carry, not just move. But, you know, that pine right there is probably 35 around. And if you saw in the video the other day where I pulled them all out of there and moved them over here so I could get to a big pitch pine back there for a flooring order, and then my elm pile, which is what I have left up here. Take a look at this elm right here that I carried up here with that Bobcat put up here. And I just sold most of my elm, so most of it's gone. But, you know, this one here's a 48 across on this end. It's almost 70 across on the other end with the stem sticking off it. You know, that's a big log, big, heavy elm log. Frozen right now inside. Easily 5,000 pounds, and that machine pulled it up here with no problem. You see a huge black oak right there. That black oak probably weighs 4,000. No problem carrying it up here. So that machine, if I had to do it over again, that is the machine that I would get. And just so that you know, just for size reference, if you have like a, you know, you're looking at 30 horsepower tractors, a 30 horsepower tractor is not going to pick that up. 30 horsepower tractor is not going to pick that up. A 30 horsepower tractor is not going to pick up this, just for reference, because, you know, I know how the conversations go at home. A 30 horsepower tractor is not going to pick that up. It's not going to pick that up. It's going to struggle with this ash. Matter of fact, I'm just going to tell you it won't pick it up. This is like 16-foot ash right here. It won't pick that up. It won't pick up that pine that's behind it in my short stack up there with the white oaks. It'll have no problem moving that little pine on top there, or that pine right there. But this is a consideration, because when you sit down with your significant other and you're making your plan and you're talking about tractors and you're saying, well, I've been looking at Mahindras or Kubotas or any one of those tractor lines, or John Deere, and I can get this, LX 30, 50, I don't know the model numbers in those, but I can get this 30 horsepower Kubota and it's only going to cost us $200 or $400 a month in this financing package. If you get a tractor like that, you're going to be very, very limited to what you can put up on that mill and what you can move around your log yard. So for me, an update, what would I do different? Where am I? What are the mistakes I've made? What are the things I've done right? One thing that I did right was get that Bobcat. That Bobcat is a home run. It makes my capabilities in running, or hopefully running, my forestry business and lumber business. It makes things possible that would be impossible with a smaller 30 horsepower tractor. What else? Let's see. One day we were out cutting, had some friends over on a Sunday, and we were gonna just cut some lumber, have a fire out here, some pizza. And my wife came out and said, I had a big log up on the mill, and she said, I want to build some sawhorses. And we were kind of like all mad. We just kind of wanted to hack lumber off and run the mill, and she made me make those big sawhorses right there. I cut them apart for her. I said, well, all right, I'll cut the lumber for you, you put them together. So we all ended up helping her, but she put those big sawhorses together, which those are barely, go down, kind of show you the size of them. Barely, right now with them being dry now, when they were wet, you couldn't carry them around by yourself. I had to move them around with the machine. Now that they're dry, I can pick them up and move them myself. Because this right now is all by myself. I'll stand over next to them to show you the size of them. These were a godsend. Having these next to the mill to be able to throw stuff up on when I'm cutting, put them anywhere I want, and then come in with a machine and grab the whole bunk off. They will hold. I've had at least 10,000 on them. I've cut out orders, lumber orders, where I cut 2-3 huge 30-inch pine logs for the order. And had all the lumber up on top of those. So I know there was 10,000 sitting on them. And they don't even bat an eyelash at it. They're wonderful. I like having my little mill bench out here too. They're very, very convenient for not having all the stuff sitting around on the ground, or, eventually, like I said, I'll have a little shed over here for some stuff. But these things, are musts around that I think are to have around the mill. So I think we've done that right. The bunks that we have the lumber on, I think we've done right. This area here has been way underutilized, and I need to get it cleaned up. And that's really my next area here is over here. I've got to get my older logs out of here, utilize them a way that makes sense. Like some of these crap logs like this, I'll just cut into bunks. I've actually got some hardwood sitting in here. I've already got a plan for that pine log, but all these logs in the back here need to come out, and this whole area needs to get flattened for lumber storage. I need to get this whole log pile cleaned up and out of here. I think eventually what I'd like to do is have all my log storage up there and have this whole area just flat and not have this big pile here. So we are moving forward. The mill, for the most part, does what I need it to do. I can cut log size that I need. It has the capacity that I need. I'm working by myself, so I think that the hydraulics are going to be necessary going forward. I didn't know if they were going to be necessary, but now that I'm finding a lot of people want slabs, the hydraulics are going to be necessary. Cutting slabs is heavy work, really heavy work, because it's not like ripping through a big can of 1x6s, where you can cut the whole, whole can through in 5 minutes. When you're cutting big slabs, white oak, black oak, elm, whatever, they need to be pulled off one at a time every single time. You got the machine next to the mill, you cut a slab, you got to pull it off. Cut another slab, you got to pull it off. Not only do you have to pull it off, but you just can't dump them on the ground. They got to go to a storage place that I am tight here for storage. They got to be stickered right away. You don't want to have to go back to your slabs and have to sticker them later if you're by yourself. You got to take it off the mill, put it in a spot that's flat, put stickers on top of it. When you take the next one off, the next one goes on top of the slab, on top of the stickers, put stickers on top, pull the next one off, sticker, then you've got the log back and you can put it, then you need a place to put it, stickered together. You can't just have, throw them off the mill and then go think you're gonna, I'll just stack them later. It's 10 times harder to stack them later than to stack them as they come off the mill. Need to be thoughts going through it. So that's going to be part of my process in trying to streamline this area to get it better for me as I do that. I can't cut a ton of slab stock right now. I just don't have a place to put them. I am going to have to start because that's where the interest is. So my plan right now to pull that pile apart in the back is I'd like to cut the walnut and a red cedar. The walnut and red cedar is crack to slab people. So I want to cut some of that to get some interest going, do some posts and get those pictures out. The whole battle is to get somebody into the yard. What I find is if you can get them to come to your place, what do you need? Well, I need this, or I'm not sure. Come out and take a look around. If you get the people to come, they'll look around and buy stuff they didn't even know they wanted. And it's not, it doesn't all have to be big ticket items. It can be lots of small items. So if somebody comes out and they've got $80 in cash in their pocket, they're going to look around and find $80 worth of stuff. And you don't want the stuff sitting here. So if you can say to them, if they pick up a board, if they look over here and they say, oh, that pine board's pretty cool. How much is that? You're not sitting down and calculating out board feet on that. You're just saying, I'll take $15 for it. Oh my God, $15, yeah, here. And you need that stuff sitting around, right down to little craft wood pieces that people make signs or birdhouses or whatever. They make their little happy little sign, they paint them. You need that stuff sitting around so that they can just grab 2 or 3 of them and say, "I'll just give me $10." Those, along with the campwood bin, all that little stuff adds up. Every time somebody comes out, if they give me $80, every time somebody walks into this yard, I'm completely happy. It doesn't have to be $1,000 order after $1,000 order after $1,000 order. And most of the custom cutting I've done has been orders of that size, $500 to $1,000. And it always seems like I have one going on. Now, right now, today, I don't. I have the clear pine order where he wants 300 board feet right away that I could cut right now. And that's going to be real selective logs and real selective pieces. That's $300. I've got the cedar order that I'm waiting on a cut list for. And that's going to be kind of smaller. That's going to be a couple of $100 order. And I have 15 logs sitting here that I need to cut 5/4 for a customer, and that's going to be over $1,000 order. Because they're his logs, I'll be cutting those orders at $100 an hour. They're not my logs, so that's going to be much over $1,000, probably $2,000 order. And like I said, I've got to work out the money thing on that before I start cutting that. But that's all I have right now, because COVID slowed me down for a few days, where I've stopped posting stuff and advertising. So that's kind of where our forestry business is right now. What would be a good question that I could ask myself? What do I wish I did different to try to save you guys some headache? When logs start coming in from tree services, you know, the more you get, the better. It seems like. I wish I'd been more selective in the beginning. I have a lot of stock here right now, which is good, because so far I can't say that I've had to turn away a job. So for the most part, whenever somebody asks me for something, I pretty much have something here that I can do it with. I just got to go find it. It always seems like it's tight too for some reason. They want something crazy, like, you know, where I've got to, let's say they want 16 footers and it's a specific kind of wood, and I start measuring, and I've got 14s, and I've got just enough 16s to do the order, and a couple of them have got some weird bends, and it's a pain in the ass. I wish I'd been a little more selective about what I took in. I wish that I had done a little more work on staying organized on my sizes and types, which I'm going to remedy shortly. I wish I had built some sheds first. I need the storage. So along with bunks to put lumber on, I wish I had put together a couple of different sheds and stuck them out here. That 8x8 to, my Bobcat will move around a 10x10 with no problem. 8x8 really with no problem, but sheds that are on skids that I can move. I wish I got more ahead of cutting my slab wood up. I thought I was in a good spot, but then all of a sudden, cutting my slab wood for the camp bin and splitting it has now kind of become a 1 day a week thing now. I wish I had got more ahead of that and had a storage place where I could have spent a weekend or two and really gone through everything and split it up into small pieces. Now, a lot of people are gonna chip it or burn it or whatever, but I wouldn't do it any different. I would put it in the slab wood bin out front. Now, not everybody has that capability in that area that's going to support that, but I do. So it's a revenue source for me, and it's heat for the house, which is another revenue source for me, because I haven't even turned my heat on yet. It's January 2nd. And I'm in New England, Cape Cod, and I haven't turned the heat on in the house yet, because we've been burning what we have for firewood and for our slab wood non-stop since November, actually probably a little before November, to keep the house warm, and we've been making money off it too. So I wouldn't do it that any different, except I would have gotten ahead of it more. Today I kind of plan on cutting and splitting slab wood down into small pieces for the house and for the campwood bin. What else do I wish I had done different? The mill, like I said, I wish I had gone hydraulic from the beginning. I think I'd be in a different place right now if I had. I wish I had gone longer. And I will go longer. You can do it manually. There's no doubt about it. There's just a difference between can you cut wood manually, or do you want to do it as a business? If you want to do it as a business, I think the hydraulic is a better way to go. My sharpening process, I've streamlined my grinder. There's videos on it. That works great. To be honest with you, the bands that I sharpen cut better if I set them at 25 thousandths minimum instead of the 23 that they come. They cut flatter, they cut smoother. My bands cut faster. They stay sharp longer. 25 thousandths and above. I'm actually going to start doing some testing with 28 and 30 thousandths. But I found that for getting, especially cutting a lot of pine like I do, pine and spruce, getting the waves out of your lumber is important, especially when you start cutting for customers. You cut a big order for a customer, like the floorboards that I cut, the flooring for the pitch pine floor for the nursery. You can't cut them wavy. So if you're getting wavy cuts, you can't for a customer. If it's construction lumber, it's different. But for flooring, for this particular customer, they got to be close. They can't be. You can't have 1/8-inch drops. Customers don't have the ability. At least not all customers. DIY people don't have the ability to take that out of a piece. So you got to be able to cut flat. What I find is that if I get my set on my bands above 23 thousandths, so if I set a band at 25 and I have a band at 23 and I cut a pine log, the 23 set band is more likely to be wavy than the 25. The 25 set band runs completely different through the wood. It cuts easier, it cuts flatter, almost no effort. My sharpening setup, I really like it a lot. Do I want an automated one? I'm not sure, because I think in some of my sharpening videos I've talked about it a little bit. I'm not sure yet. I kind of like the way I do it. I just got to stay on top of it. So I think for this year, scheduling is going to be important for me in prioritizing my time. So I'm going to have a day where I work on bands. So I'm going to say like Tuesdays are going to be band day. I'm going to have a day where I cut slab wood up and split it. Let's say Thursday's a day where I cut slab wood, and then the other days will be milling days. But I need to, working as a one-man band, I need to prioritize my time better and start to have this stuff scheduled so that I can stay on top of these things more. I'm probably at some point gonna have to have a day where I cut stickers. I like the way I do it now with cutting all my jacket cuts at 1 inch, and when I edge them I end up with stuff, and I've never run through my stickers yet. But I think that prioritizing your time and having it, if you want it to be a business, treating it like a business, so that it seems kind of like, in the beginning I'd come out and I'd say, I don't know what I'm going to do. My wife would say, what are you doing today? And I'd say, I'm not sure what I'm going to do today. Whether I'm going to move dirt or organize. Maybe you have to have a day where this is what I found, that I have cleanup days where I clean up around the mill and get all my sawdust out of here and get all my wood out of here and all my slab wood put away and clean up around the mill underneath and blow everything off. Maybe you need to have a maintenance day, where you go through and you check your guides and you oil everything and check your level and things like that. Maybe you have to have a maintenance day or a maintenance morning. Maybe it doesn't need to be a whole day. Maybe it just needs to be 2 hours, but you need to schedule the stuff. And then stay on schedule, and you can adapt your schedule as you need it, but you need to treat it like a business and treat it like a day of just organizing wood is not lost money. So if you don't allow, let's say And you can have customers out on that day. Shooting videos takes time away, but you can have customers out on that day too. They can come out while you're sifting through wood and look around. But that needs to be a day. I could spend at least, when I'm cutting a lot, I could have a day a week where all I did was organize and restack and move stuff and get it. And there's no better word than organized, stickered. One thing I have to work on is covering stuff. I'm not covering stuff well enough. This stuff cannot, you see this stuff over here is a good example. This stuff in the wintertime is fine sitting here like this. It's not going to be fine in the summer. That stuff would twist and crack and bow and be garbage sitting out here in the summer sun and heat. It needs to be put away. It can't just be sitting around. So, an organization day. And I've got to come up with a plan. I don't know if I'll start using tarps or getting metal roofing or one of those things. Or one thing that I found is that when you end up with truing cuts, you can see all my truing cuts sitting here. This is stuff that's all less than, say, 3/4 of an inch thick. You know, whether you put those on top or whatever, I'm not sure yet, but that needs to be a consideration. And you need to, I think early on in the beginning, you need to decide whether you're going to do it as a business or whether you're going to do it as a hobby. If you're going to do it as a hobby, you can treat it a lot differently other than storing wood, because you need to put your wood away. But if you're going to do it as a business like I want to, then you need to think these things through. And this is kind of where I am. And today, hopefully, I'll spend some time cutting firewood, camp wood, fill the camp wood bin. If I could just do 2 buckets on the Bobcat today, that would get me into a good place. Fill inside the house, fill the camp wood bin would be my project today. So, and to test and see if I'm COVID negative now. Hopefully I'm COVID negative, and I can get back to life here. So that's kind of where we are. Pirate Solutions Forestry, 1 year in. Again, hope you guys all had a great holiday. Some great football on yesterday. Got the playoffs coming up. I find with the business, I find myself watching football less and less, and I don't want it to be that way. I want it to be a lifestyle that I enjoy, so that's going to be part of the planning also. I hope you guys had a great Christmas. Hit me up with any questions. I'm sure when I watch this back, I'll say, oh, I wish I said that, and I wish I said this. But I wanted to get a video out prior to the 1 year review of the sawmill, which I'm going to shoot sometime in the next few days. I've got to get some stuff down on paper so I keep that organized, but I'm going to do a 1 year review on the HD36 V2. Whether it's the right mill, the wrong mill, what I want, what I found is great, what I found is bad, what I will change, what I wish I did different. Some of that I did in this video, but that'll be very in-depth, probably an hour long. And we'll keep going. I'll keep you guys in the journey with us as we move forward, and appreciate the watch. So hit me up with any questions and I'll answer you all back, and I hope you guys are having a great day and you're all healthy and happy and everything's good. Thanks for the watch.